If you just simply think about your life as a collection of activities rather than thinking about moving a certain direction or accomplishing things, I think it's a lot more forgiving. And I think it's kind of really helpful for me to think about just, you know, humility and being okay with who I am, a lot of those kind of things. Um, if I just simply think about, hey, I have a certain number of hours in the day and I'm just shifting around things and shifting around activities, and everybody is doing that. Everybody is living basically the same sort of life, and there's little difference between those particular things, right? Like if you think about, what does a stay-at-home mom do? They simply just interact with people and move people around. Well, that's the same thing as what a CEO does, or something that, if you're in a stall, selling your your clothing, used clothing in some sort of stall someplace. That's all they're doing. Is they're just talking to people the same way. There's very little difference in terms of the activities that we actually do, and then we go home. And if we sort of think about that, if we think about our day-to-day activities, we decompose it into just kind of really simple things, it's a lot more forgiving. It's a lot more forgiving on me when I think about that. It's like, hey, you know, um, rather than thinking about these sort of distinct moments in time between, the weekend um, and weekdays, and if I'm not accomplishing that much on the weekends, that's all bad and all that kind of stuff. Part of the reason why that ends up happening in my life is I'm just shifting around activities and prioritizing things throughout the weekdays. And so there's like a number of things that I feel that I need to do on the weekends, right? So for example, I'm walking the dogs right now, and I feel like they need to have that. That's something that's important. I know lots of people don't do that, but I think that's important. I think that Um, getting groceries is an important task. Yesterday afternoon, I spent the day doing laundry. We end up getting 4 or 5 piles of laundry because we don't do it during the weekdays. Like there's all these tasks, and you're just shifting around that are just normal everyday tasks. I used to spend my weekends, my Saturday mornings, cleaning the bathroom. Now we have a helper, cleaning the bathrooms and doing all of those kind of things. And all we're doing is we're just shifting things around. And, nothing is that different on the day to day. And if you sort of think about this in terms of just what you're doing is a collection of activities, what you're doing is very similar to what any other person does. If I was to talk to a Fortune 500 CEO, it'd be very similar in terms of the activities that they do. They might do a little bit more of one more activity than another, or have to remember a bunch more names. But other than that, um, these things are all pretty ordinary, right? Like think about the planning that goes in if you're a mom, for example, a stay-at-home mom. Think about the planning that goes in to like plan out your kid's month or your kid's week, right? Um, it's it's a lot. There's a lot that's going on, and that's not much different than, say, the administrator of somebody in an office might do. And we think about them. The odd thing that we do as characters is, characters in life is that we sort of prescribe different. Um, we prescribe different meanings to these different tasks, but ultimately they're all the same basic tasks, and we all do the same thing. So I'd encourage you to just decompose the different things we do, and it's a way more forgiving of yourself. It's a much easier way to think about it for yourself. Um, but also, I think you have a lot more humility then. I think you realize, like, yeah, I'm not necessarily all that important. Um, these other people are not necessarily all that much different and important, and yet we, just live our life. Um, and I think as we sort of think about that, we can do, I don't know, it's freeing. It feels a little better to do that. And A, I'm not as stressed out as much. Um, and B, it's also just like allows me to be me. And I think that is a good thing.